Hello there again, everybody. This is going to be Jund League number 94. Same list as last time. I've continued to be just very happy and excited about this list. Bone Crusher has continued to do exactly what we were hoping it would do, and the shell around it has also been just perfectly fine. I guess a few things to note about this list if you're relatively new here. Going to be playing 5 1-mana hand disruption spells today. I think the discard is much better in a format filled with combo and control, but we're seeing lots of aggro and mid-range, and I think discard is worse versus those. So we're down one copy from what would be considered stock. We are overloading on cheap removal spells, especially Terminate, because we are afraid of the various Eldrazi Tron threats as well as the card Stormwing entity out of Prowess. If we don't get paired up against a Lava Dart deck, Dark Confidant is probably one of the best cards in the deck. It's absolutely phenomenal versus combo and control. I mentioned that we don't really see a lot of those lately, but versus mid-range as well, which there is a lot of, if Dark Confidant goes unchecked, it can be the single reason why we win the game. To supplement the card advantage package, we're playing 3 copies of Wrenn and 6 as well, which we are attempting to combo with either 1 copy of Forgotten Cave or one of our 2 copies of Nurturing Peatland. We've got 1 copy of Kroxa to round out the threat package with our 4 Tarmogoyfs and 3 Bloodbraids and 3 Bone Crushers. And then we've got our general 2-for-1 or multi-for-1 value cards on top of Bob, being, of course, Kroxa I already mentioned, Bone Crusher, Liliana, and Bloodbraid. So lots of 2-for-1 or even 3 or 4-for-1 goodness, supplemented by this sideboard. Playing lots of narrow cards in the sideboard. What I mean by that is a lot of these cards will be excellent in very specific matchups, but they don't have a lot of utility in others. So Brutality is going to be our card with the most utility. A lot of the modes on this aren't relevant in a lot of matchups, but there's usually at least one good mode, so a lot of the time it'll be better than at least something in the main deck. For our Grave Hate, we're playing 2 copies of Nile Spellbomb, along with 2 copies of Ashiok. If we play against anything super low to the ground, like Prowess, which is very popular, we have another push to bring in. Our Land Hate, we've got 2 copies of Damping Sphere, a copy of Pillage, and a copy of 2 copies of Wildfire. And then versus anything mid-rangey or combo-y or just tribal in general, Plague Engineer has been fairly strong. I get asked a lot why I play 1 copy of Pillage instead of just playing 3 copies of Cleansing Wildfire. Reason being is Eldrazi Tron is very popular right now, and being able to kill an artifact is quite strong. And I've had it come up multiple times where having this Pillage over a Wildfire has been very good, so I've just continued to like it, and I'm going to continue to play it until my experience tells me to do something different. So let's look at the current Modern metagame. We've got Blitz in at first with Blue-Red Breach in at second. So it's looking like about 13% of the meta is just blue-red decks. I think this is a result of the relatively new expressive iteration. That's the 2-mana sorcery where you get to look at the top 3, put 1 to your hand, 1 to the bottom of your library, and then exile 1. You can cast the exiled card until end of turn. The card's very strong. It's pretty often 2-mana draw 2 with upside. So I think the strength of that card has really pushed these two decks to the front of the pack. Amulet Titan and Eldrazi Tron, followed by Heliod Company, of pretty solid 3, 4, 5. These 5 have pretty much been the top 5 for a good decent while. So I think pretty clearly these are the best 5 decks, not just like a short-term stint where it was popular for a second and then went away. I think these 5 are pretty good. I think these 5 are the undisputed best decks. Then here we have the 6 through 15 slots, just rounding out our top 15. In terms of what we would like to see and not see as Jund, I would like to see Blitz. I think that matchup is at a minimum 50-50 if you can play around Stormwing and make sure your removal lines up well with it. I think the Breach matchup is probably fine, so I wouldn't mind seeing this. Amulet Titan I expect to lose game 1 almost every time, but the sideboard games could be good. So I think this matchup is fine but leaning bad. Again, this matchup is fine but leaning bad. I wouldn't mind seeing Heliod Company. Burn I like to see. Scapeshift is probably fine. Esper Control I like. Dredge I would like to avoid. Jund Shadow I think is pretty 50-50. Gruul I would like to avoid. Tron, Niv I would like to avoid. But then Death and Taxes and Boris aggro I would like to see. So only 4 or 5, I think just 4, Gruul, Tron, Niv, Dredge that I would really like to just totally avoid. And then things that I would be unhappy to see, but not as unhappy as those 4. I would be unhappy to see Amulet, Eldrazi, Tron, and I guess that's about it. Everything else I expect to have a pretty fine matchup against. So again, this is just the top 15. Not necessarily representative of the format today, but that's my take on what we are at least expecting to see. And let's jump into the matches. I'll catch up on chat now. JDX says, feels like 3 collective brutality is too much. Any consideration for playing another copy of a card already in the side, or one of and going down to 2 collectives? I played 2 collective brutalities for many leagues in a row. That was without Burn being popular, but as we saw, Burn is the number 6 deck right now, and brutality probably the best card that we've got access to against that. And then it also just has lots of good modes and lots of other matchups. Like pretty often the Duress is going to be excellent versus Esper Control, which we also saw is good, and then it's also good versus Prowess, which is the number 1 card. So I mean the number 1 deck. So I think it's probably worth it, at least right now, to have the full 3. Yeah, Stormcrow. Yeah, Blue Red Breach has been I think hovering in the 1 through 3 slot. I guess 2 or 3. It hasn't supplanted Prowess, but it's been either 2 or 3 for a couple weeks, I think. You think there's any chance the new Necrogoyf will see play in Jund? Doubt it, but curious about my opinion. You're gonna have to remind me what that is, like what it does. This hand's looking good. It's a little on the painful side in that we've got double Thoughtseize, Dark Confidant, but if this is a matchup where Dark Confidant is good, we don't really care that much about our life total anyway. Jeez. Alright, well, this is going to be a matchup where Dark Confidant is good, and we've also got some Thoughtseizes, so that much is nice. Alright, let's get Basic Swamp. Getting Basic Swamp means that I won't be able to cast Wrenn and 6 if I find it. But given double Thoughtseize and Bob, I'm going to try to make Bob as good as possible by staying as high as possible. And it's Eldrazi Tron. Okay. So Eldrazi Tron is a little bit better for us. So they have Power Plant, Mine, Power Plant. So they don't actually have the Tron, and they don't have the turn 2 Reshaper either. I think what I'm going to do here is just take the Matter Reshaper. That card is really, really good against us. And then next turn, I'm probably going to try to stick a threat. If they find the way to complete the Tron, they'll be able to Karn us, but we'll have a creature in play to threaten it, which may just be reason enough to play the Goyf, because if they play the Karn, we could at least kill it with the Goyf, whereas we would only be able to attack it for 2 with the Bob. Is this a Mind Stone? I'm covering it. Oh, it's a Chalice. Interesting. Alright, well, Thoughtseize and Bolt just got worse. So if they do find the Tron, they're gonna be able to Karn. But they would also get to play something that costs 3. So I guess here we're gonna get Overgrown Tomb. I'm really thinking I should play the Goyf here. I would love to get the Bob down, but if they play this Karn here, we kind of just lose. I guess they can't actually play an Expedition map anymore because of the Chalice. I don't want to get Stomping Ground. I do want this to be a black source, because if I find Liliana, I want to be able to cast it. So it's either Blood Crypt or Overgrown Tomb. And I need to cast Goyf here, so it's Overgrown Tomb, right? I could go to 14 and just cast the Bob and hope they don't get lucky. Are we going to hope they don't get lucky? They have the Scavenger Ground, so maybe the Tarmogoyf just isn't strong enough. Let's go Bob. And we'll hope they don't spike the Tron after spiking a Chalice. That would be unfortunate, but can't play against what's off the top, right? It's 5 CMC. X4. X is equal to the amount of creatures in all graveyards at the beginning of each player's upkeep. They discard them for Madness 3. Uh, got him. Alright, so they played Scavenger Grounds. Yeah, I would think that's just too expensive. We did find the Ren and 6. So here we get to play Tarmogoyf. We get to play Raging Ravine, and we get to attack for 2. Yeah, my inclination would be that 5 mana is too expensive. 3 mana is also still pretty expensive, but like you need something to go you need something specific to go right to even get it for that discounted cost, and that's pretty much only Liliana. Aether Gusts and Lanterns would like to speak. I don't know what you're referring to. Oh, I've got some messages going off. Okay, so they have found an ensnaring bridge. Luckily, we can still kill the Karn, but we're gonna need to find an answer to that bridge sooner rather than later. Revealed Bone Crusher. Unfortunately, we can't cast half of our hand. We can Ren and 6 here, buy back a land. This is 4 right now. So it's more damage if I attack the Karn with the Bob and then ping it with the Ren and 6, but I think I want to continue hitting my land drops, which means I'm going to Ren and 6 for, I guess, a Mire. I can then be able to get basic mounted for a Stomp. This all seems good. We've also got the Ravine in play, which may help us close the game, assuming we can get the bridge out of the way. You want to type in chat !deck. I don't know why deck list didn't work. Okay, the second time it worked. I don't know why it didn't work the first time. Oh, you spelled it wrong. That's why. Alright, so let's kill the Karn, attack opponent for 2. And then we have Stomp at the ready. Again, this Chalice is kind of messing us up. And the first time we find something that kills an artifact, we're kind of forced to kill the bridge. So unfortunately, these cards are just going to be pretty much dead. Funny enough, Bob can still attack for a turn. And if I do end up needing to fear my own Dark Confidant, I've got the Ren and 6 to worst case get rid of it. But we would love to find Kolaghan's Command. Another Stomp. Well, I mean, Burn is Burn, I guess. So we can only attack with our Dark Confidant for, I guess, this turn. Yeah, this is in fact a Boomer Jund list with Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher is a fairly new addition. Is there any reason to just cast some of my 1-mana stuff into their Chalice so if I find a Kroxa, I could get it online faster? No, and I could have Bloodbraided there, but I think holding up some Stomps is probably good. Like, this can't attack anyway. I guess the floodgates are kind of open if we hit exactly Kolaghan's Command. But this is also probably fine. So take BBE and Giant out, put in Skews and another few 1-drop spells, and we're back in 2016. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, we will, I guess, discard the hand size. Alright, they found the Tron, but do they have something to do with it? Answer is yes. We can kill that between Ren and 6 and double Stomp. It's not the ideal way to do it, but it is a way to do it. Oh, did I mistrack their hand? They just kind of have it all. Brutal. And remember, these bolts are turned off because of their Chalice. So you don't like casting the Chalice with Scavenger on the field, but you're a better Jund player. I mean, that's a good thing to point out. You get the sky ship. Alright, we're fairly dead. Okay, let's try another one. So, versus Eldrazi Tron. Plague Engineers are great. I mentioned in the deck tech that I like the Pillage. I dislike Damping Sphere, but I think Cleansing Wildfire is probably good enough. Push doesn't kill a lot, but it is a way to kill Thought-Knot Seer. I could bring in Ashiok to make maps worse, but it only makes maps off of the top worse. I don't think that's going to be good enough. I think it's just these 5 that I'm excited about. Renin 6 doesn't feel like it's going to do enough. Dark Confidant is a liability versus Walking Ballista, Warping Whale, Dismember. But I mean, we saw it be very good in game 1. Definitely keeping the Liliana's, Kolagon's Commands, Bone Crushers, Blood Braids. So I think if I'm making cuts, it's from the 1 and 2 slot. On the play, I think I should be keeping the Bobs. The pushes really don't kill a lot, but the bolts kill even less. I think best use for bolt here is going after a Karn after it's minus. But that's already conceding the fact that I'm down a card, so that doesn't feel great. I need 3 more cuts. Can't be Terminate. I guess it could just be Copy of Push, because again, it really only kills Thought-Knot. We've got things like Terminate and Liliana, which also do that. Can they do something with that? The answer is always yes, pretty much. 2 more cuts. 2 more cuts. It could just be more 1 mana removal. I think the first 2 bolts have a lot of value. I think the Renin 6s are probably fine. It doesn't kill a lot, but we want to get to our more expensive cards. And Bone Crush or Renin 6 will help with that. Yeah, I really don't know what I should be cutting here. Should be 2 things though. Maybe I just like split the difference like this. I do want to have ways to kill Thought-Knot though, and I mean it kills Reshaper too, but that's not the ideal case. It doesn't kill their important stuff. Let's do this. This may also had just better versus Chalice of the Void if we're taking out cards that would normally get blocked by it. Yeah, this hand's acceptable. This hand is on the weak side against Grave Hate, given that Kroxa is our only avenue of pressure early on the curve. I mean, I guess that's not really true because we've got Bloodbraid as well. Mountains of Mayhem, thank you for the follow. I appreciate the support. So they've got Power Plant, Blast Zone. Those are their only 2 lands. Filigree Familiar is real interesting. So I think the only real consideration here is Expedition Map or Matter Reshaper. They've got one. They've got 2 lands total, 1 Tron land. So it's possible if they brick on lands for some number of turns, I can really slow them down, which would be good for taking the map. But Matter Reshaper is really annoying. It's possible I can set up a turn where I shock the Reshaper with the Kolagon's Command and kill an artifact. So I think that potential 2-for-1 value, even though they get the card back on the Reshaper, makes me want to lead towards taking the map. And the other thing that makes me want to lead towards that is they've got only 2 lands total. So let's take map, I think. Trim 1 Bob. I think on the play, Bob is going to be too good. There it is. Let's do it. Look at you wanting to trim Bobs. Oh, wait. They have the Dismember. Let's Kroxa. I'm not going to let them use their mana. I was going to say, yeah, let's just still slam the Bob, but we see the Dismember. So let's make it so that they can't, like, actually do it right now. This Bob, I think, will be very good at some point in this game. Got a pretty quick crowd. I appreciate everyone coming to watch some Bone Crusher Jund. It's been a blast so far. I hope you all have also had fun observing. Deep in the tank, huh? They ditched a Karn. Okay. Deal, I suppose. Honestly, if I drew a Thoughtseize here, Karn is probably what I would have taken. They drew a Tron land, and they played that. Terminate. Terminate's fine. Now I could Bob, only because there's not much better to do. I could hold up the Terminate, but Matter Reshaper, Filigree Familiar are not the ideal targets for Terminate. I'm pretty likely to want to Kolaghan's Command those two. So I might just throw the Bob into the Dismember, unfortunately. I mean, there's also just something to be said to allowing this to happen to eventually get our Kroxa fueled up. I think I'm gonna do it. Because, like, I've got lots of powerful stuff to do after the Bob as well that cost a lot of mana. So let's just throw this out there, and then this will probably get, for sure, a green source, and then I guess more black. Kawaii Dragon, thanks for the follow. I appreciate the support. Yeah, I can also get it back with Kick Command. But like I said, I think I'm going to be wanting to kill their stuff with it. There's pretty likely to be, at some point in this game, a problematic artifact. And then Kolaghan's Command is going to be one of our ways to deal with that. So, Dark Confidant, not necessarily super high value in this matchup, but it is good. So I think Kolaghan's Command may be better saved just to kill an artifact. Like, if they go Filigree Familiar next turn, I might just take the 2-for-1. But if they don't do that, I think it may be better to save it for a problematic artifact. So we'll do a Tomb, say no. And then untapped land here would obviously be excellent. Glyph is fine too. Any cards from MH2 getting you guys excited? Ignoble Hierarch, for example. Not super excited about the Hierarch, at least how Junda's currently built. I don't think we can really exploit the extra mana. I am excited for that dragon that like nukes a land. And like costs cheaper. Like, it would be excellent in this matchup. In this matchup, we could certainly use some help. Yeah, you're saying recurring Goyf or BBE would be nice. Yeah, also true. I think Goyf and BBE probably higher value things to return as well. Alright, we hit the land. Cool. So now we can cast Bloodbraid Elf. The alternate line is either Kolaghan's Command or Terminate, but we don't have enough mana to do both. I'm thinking we're wanting to Bloodbraid here. Try to pull ahead on board. Like, if we hit a Planeswalker here, we're pretty excited. If we hit a removal spell, that's fine too. If we hit our one copy of Fatal Push, it'll be unfortunate. Because we don't have Revolt. But I think probably just a fine turn to slam Bloodbraid. Also, I think it's important to have creatures on board, because if the opponent plays a Planeswalker, we're going to need to be able to pressure it. We hit Thoughtseize, that's a good one. They've got Mascot Exhibition and another Karn. So this is make a 2/1 with flying, make a 3/2, and make a 4/4. That's going to be pretty strong, assuming they can find the Tron, but the Karn they can cast now. So I think I'm taking the Karn and just hoping they don't spike the Tron off the top. That's a pretty cool one. Do I want to attack? Tarmogoyf is a 6/7. If they block with either thing, they get to draw a card effectively. So I don't think I'm attacking quite yet. Next turn, I'll have the option to Kolaghan's Command, Shatter, and Shoot, which will have them drawing both of those cards, but I'll be able to get in a pretty healthy attack at the same time. Yes, Obsidian Charmaw was the card I was trying to name, but could not remember the name of. That's the 5 mana 4/4 flying. When it enters, hit a non-basic, and it costs 1 less for each land an opponent controls that could produce colorless mana. Alright, we are 1 card off of escaping Kroxa. So now I'm thinking I do want to make that play of Kolaghan's Command, kill both of their things, because that lets me hit for 9, and even if they cast Mascot Exhibition, in combination with my Terminate, they're forced into a chump block mode for basically the rest of the game. And then I still have Kroxa in my yard left over. That feels like the best way I can strong arm them. So let's do that. So we're gonna Kolaghan's Command, shatter an artifact and 2 damage, and then we're, I guess, gonna hope that they don't draw like a Tron land and a bunch of nutty stuff. So there's so many modes, I always have to read them all. Destroy an artifact, 2 to any target. Artifact 2. What do I think about Vindicate in Modern? I think Vindicate's gonna be at least usable. Obviously not a Jund card, but I think Abzan has some legs now. Having a card that's going to be, as an Abzan player, very good versus opponents like this, where you can like kill a Tron land, should be very good. Like having a main deck answer that isn't Assassin's Trophy to a Tron land, I think is going to be quite strong. And they flipped a map. Okay, so let's get in our healthy hit as planned. So this is kind of completing the Tron. So they can tap 2 lands, get the other Tron piece, which is the tower. So they'll have 7 mana going into this turn. So they can Exhibition. But is that the best thing they've got? Apparently. Yeah, this card's really cool. Was not expecting to see it in Modern, but I guess it makes sense. Fetchland's actually a pretty decent draw, because now we get to both terminate and escape our Kroxa. I think I'm terminating first because then they can't block the Bloodbraid for free. Blast Zone is at 2, which means that they can kill Tarmogoyf and the Kroxa if I escape it, so something to watch out for. So if I terminate this, attack, this probably trades, this jumps in front. They stay at 6. If I escape Kroxa, they discard whatever, but then they have Blast Zone. How does it look if I just attack with Tarmogoyf? Keep the Bloodbraid around, because Bloodbraid might be the only pressure that I have if they're going to Blast Zone away my 2 things. So I might just be unable to escape the Kroxa, because I'm pretty far away from escaping it again. So I think my only good attack is with Gwaif here. If they make a double block, maybe I can terminate to break it up. Alright, they are not double blocking. Alright, I don't think I can escape Kroxa here because I'm so far behind if they just use their Blast Zone that we know about. Reshaper is pretty annoying. Alright, we're falling behind for sure. I mean, if we draw a Cleansing Wildfire, we can maybe force a premature popping of the Blast Zone, which may allow us to stick our Kroxa. Alright, we cannot terminate that because we don't have a card to discard to it. It'll just get countered. So if they attack with the 4/4, do I want to just terminate that? That means I still won't have the terminate for the Smasher. Is there a world where I take this hit, terminate the Inkling, and then try to top deck removal to attack for the kill? This takes 3 mana to actually pop. So is that really a line that I can consider? If I take this hit, we do have 9 power in play. They're at 10. Sorry, they're at 9. So we can hit them in one shot. The consideration then is if we want Ren and 6 to be an out, we need to be able to kill the spirit, the Inkling with the Ren and 6, which means that the terminate is intended for the Reshaper. So that is the line we could take to just win next turn. Is there any realistic way that I win otherwise? I don't think so. Because like if I terminate this elemental just to save life, I still can't punch through, and we're just still giving them time to kill us with the blast zone. So yeah, I think the line is take the hit, end step, terminate, reshaper, hope it doesn't flip into another creature, and then try to draw removal for the Inkling and win. And again, I have to kill this one, even though it gives them another card, because this makes sure that Renin 6 is still an out to kill the Inkling. They hit a map. Alright, let's take a card out of the deck. So any removal spell should do it here. We've got a good number of removal spells in the deck. Bloodbraid would not do it, but Bloodbraid could hit something that does it. Come on, deck. Damn. So now I think we're dead. We needed that to be not a land. If I escape Kroxa here, they discard their last card, but they still just have the blast zone. I can keep the Goyf back to block the Smasher, but again, they still just have the blast zone. They could also map for the Scavenger Grounds. So I may need to keep the Bloodbraid back to block this, which would still have me taking 7, which is still dead. So maybe I shouldn't have fetched, but I mean, that's not a game I'm winning anyway. The only hope is that they literally just don't see that they've got a blast zone, so I guess that's what I'm going to play towards. So attack both, escape a Kroxa. Hope they don't see that they can just blast zone the Kroxa. They should block Bloodbraid here, right? I guess they could be afraid of Bolt, which would mean they want to block there. But if I had the Bolt, I would have just killed them anyway. So I think they should have blocked the Bloodbraid. Alright, keeping Goyf large. They've got pretty much every type, I guess, except sorcery. So let's keep a sorcery. Yeah, I mean, we had a real chance if we didn't draw that. Alright, now I guess I'll keep the Swamp in hand to bluff literally anything. But if I had literally anything, I would have killed them. So they've got it. They've got to see that I don't have it. Yeah, this game was close. Am I excited for MH2? Yeah, I'm fairly excited. Really excited for the dragon that someone named earlier. Something Hellkite, right? Not super excited about the Noble Hierarch adjacent, which seems to be the card most people are hyping. They saw the line. Boo! Alright. Well, we got 4 more matches. Here's the list. We've got a good number of viewers today. Thanks everyone for coming out. And if this is the kind of content you like to see, this is Jund League number 94. So there are literally 93 Jund Leagues already uploaded to my YouTube channel, plus some extras. And if you wanna take a peek at all that shenanigans, my various social media links are right here under my image. And it should also be linked to my actual Twitch page too, if you're on a desktop and you scroll down. Ian McCrick, McCrick. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate the support. All right, we're playing against Yorion with a mulligan. Yep, this is reasonable. I think the bottom here is either Kolagon's Command or Bloodbraid. I like Kolagon's Command a lot versus Yorion, but we do have two. I think Bloodbraid is a consideration only because we don't have the lands to get there. But, I mean, Yorion's going to be a pretty slow deck, so I think we'll get there eventually. Let's keep one Kolagon's Command. We're already pretty heavy on interaction. We don't really need a fourth piece. And then in terms of what land I'm playing first here, I think I'm just going to... I'll play the Blackleaf Cliffs, because if they play something that I want to kill... I'll just push it, and then if I draw a 2-mana play, I'll feel pretty bad about not being able to do it, not being able to play it and kill something. Alright, we drew the green source, so let's play the Verdant now. Something to be said about just playing the Blood Crypt tapped, so that way maybe we could keep the fetch land next turn for Revolt, but I think we're not really going to have an issue killing whatever we need to kill. Nice save. Thanks. I try. Alright, so is there a reason to use Bone Crusher over a Fatal Push? I think Fatal Push is going to be able to kill a wider array of stuff. So for that reason, I'm thinking I want to use the Stomp. So let's use the Stomp. Also, that means we get to just cast the Bone Crusher next turn without losing value having not used the Stomp. So we'll get the Overgrown Tomb, say yes, Stomp. Nice draw. Look at this Bone Crusher. 2-mana interaction, 3-mana threat. Go. And getting Fire and Ice might indicate they've got Batterskull already. Yes. It is it's a website. If you're interested in the name of the website, I can figure it out. So basically on Streamlabs, I am using a web source, and then I just click and drag it to where I want. But yeah, it's a website that I guess is linked to the Magic Online server. So it's updating with everyone's record, and every player has a unique, I guess, player code, like URL, and you just link the specific one that is, I guess, assigned to you. Stardust Agent confirmed? That's pretty cool. Alright, let's, I think, pedal to the metal. Bloodbraid time. It'll be awkward if we hit a removal spell. But I think applying maximum pressure when the opponent is basically doing nothing is probably great. We hit Thoughtseize. Nice. So they've got Skyclave, On Thin Ice, Flicker Wisp. They didn't have the Batterskull. Let's for sure take Skyclave, right? On Thin Ice gets to kill something too. But given that I've got Kolagon's commands, I was going to say, like, we want our thing to stick around in the graveyard because we could buy it back with Kolagon's command, but that's just not going to be the case no matter what we do. I think I'm still going to take the Skyclave because since they have a Sword of Fire and Ice, I think I want to make sure that they don't have a creature to carry it. I do have the Kolagon's command for the Fire and Ice, but if I can take care of the creatures this way, that feels fine. The other consideration is I could just take the On Thin Ice because next turn they would get to double spell. Flicker Wisp is really good with Skyclave though. Let's just take the Skyclave and not get too fancy. Then we'll attack for a lot. Alright, and then I don't see how they would Flicker Wisp anything. They do not take damage when they target the Bone Crusher. Ooh, that was good. Because the Bone Crusher only works off of spells and not abilities. Here, I'll show you. Where'd it go? Oh, it's here. When it becomes the target of a spell. And then this is enter the battlefield, so it's not the spell, and then same with this. Renin 6 was a pretty absurd draw, though. Let's just cast it. They found the Stone Forge. That's fine. So pretty likely to just push that. If they spend 2 mana to equip it, it's pro blue and red, so we can still just push it. Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter and Tectonic Edge both answer the Ravine, but we still have Ren and 6 to buy it right on back. And now we'll be able to use the Kolaghan's command for the Batterskull. Oof, that was pretty strong. How are we feeling about that one? Bone Crusher. Let's just make it a 4/3 because we get to kill him next turn if it's a 4/3, right? I guess we're attacking for 6 now too. Yeah, we'll cast it as a 4/3. Our attack still only puts them down to 4. I guess if we stomp them, they go down to 2, which means Kolaghan's command is also just lethal. But I mean, it's kind of build your own adventure at this point. I guess this is more loose against a Wrath of God, but I don't think they're playing things like Wrath. So against specifically Wrath, this is a bad play. But it's looking like we're gonna cross the finish line, no problem. So we'll shatter an artifact, and I guess you discard. And then either Bloodbraid is lethal on its own, combining with Ren and 6, so yeah. Noise. Mono White Yorion. I'm liking Brutality just as another kill spell, but honestly, if we're in the camp of just wanting more kill spells, Bolt and Push are probably just better, and we do have just another push over here. They're not doing anything graveyard related. I do want the Pillage, so again, we're seeing how a Pillage being not another Wildfire is going to be good. I think I like the push. The Engineers also look excellent here, so this is 2 matches in a row now we're bringing in the Engineer. And I think that's about all I'm seriously considering. Like, Brutality could be good, just like as a removal spell. I doubt the other 2 modes are going to be super relevant. You're asking if they don't have Rest in Peace? It's possible they've got Rest in Peace, yeah. And I think I'm pretty likely to cut at least one Tarmogoyf, not only as a hedge against that, but this matchup feels like it's going to be pretty card advantage / value based, and Goyf just being only a beat stick doesn't really contribute towards that plan. So those 2 reasons, not needing just a beat stick and also maybe witnessing Grave Hate or playing against Grave Hate, means that Goyf might be on the weaker side. Everything else looks great though. I think I'm cutting Discard. Discard's not good, right? Just like for a similar reason that I mentioned earlier, versus mid-range / control decks. Versus mid-range decks, which this opponent really is, Discard tends to be pretty weak. I guess Thoughtseize can take Restoration Angel and the Yorion. Not Thoughtseer. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate the support. So I think Brutality. I mentioned it not being great, but I think it's going to be better than the discard. Do I want to try to get the Goyf in here over Brutality? I could definitely see that being the case. Brutality really isn't that strong. Yeah, let's do it. I know I mentioned wanting to hedge versus Rest in Peace and just not needing generic beat sticks by taking one out, but I think it's still going to be better than just second copy of 2 mana, kill a small thing. This seems fine. Yeah, Bone Crusher looked real good there, but I mean, so did double Bloodbraid, right? Alright, we've got double Goyf, so we're going to be pretty soft to Rest in Peace, but I'd be pretty hard-pressed to mulligan this hand. Okay. So now maybe I do want to hold the Verdant for potential revolting, and Bob was a real good draw. So yeah, I'm gonna hold the fetch in case we need to revolt. So next turn I'll play Forest, and then I guess start Confidant. I could maybe go first to just bait something out. That's definitely getting pushed. Ooh, Castle Ardenvale. If we go long, that card might be a headache. Now they get the Batterskull, yep. Get some F6 value. More Dark Confidants. Alright, well now I don't really have to worry about baiting, because if they get rid of my first one, I just have a second one. Tech Edge, okay. Brutal. Alright, well I guess I've got a second one. I hope they don't Flicker Wisp or just have another Skyclave. Maybe I just play the Glyph now. It'll be pretty unfortunate if they get rid of that too, but I think Bob is such high value. Now that we only have one, I think I'm gonna go towards the Glyph. And now I will play Verdant, because I'm pretty likely to want to cast Bloodbraid next turn. I'd rather not have to fetch Shock to do it. You like to look at the list? Do I prefer Bone Crusher to Seasoned Pyro? Yes, I have a strong disliking for Seasoned Pyromancer. I don't think that card does enough. Like, well, one of the things that I repeat on my channel is when I'm looking for a card to be good, I want it to do at least one of three things well. And those three things are generate card advantage, disrupt the opponent, or provide a meaningful clock. And Pyromancer does none of those three things. So I really dislike the card. So would love to find removal spell here, because I really don't want this thing carrying a sword. That counts. This gets me a 2/2 as well. I mean, if they just go land Batterskull, I could be in trouble. They're also just gonna have infinite things to put on to equip a sword to, thanks to their castle. So I think we're pretty solidly behind right now. And now we need to find another answer to a creature, or just Kolaghan's Command. I guess now it's got to be Kolaghan's Command, because we would have to kill the sword. So Goyf is 3/4. That doesn't even block Skyclave. Well, it does, but not well. Can't block it with the illusion because it's pro blue. I could just go Goyf and intend on double blocking. We'll get pretty blown out by a path. But I mean, it at least makes it so the sword can't get through. I could Hail Mary a Bloodbraid, but if I miss, this thing connects and starts outvaluing me. So I think I just have to double Goyf. And obviously can't attack. So no Path to Exile, please. I do have to double block, so they're going to get the full 2-for-1 if they've got it. So please don't have it. And there's already instant in the yard, so if they path one, it doesn't even grow a Goyf. Uh-oh. Yep. Womp womp. I mean, there's only one card we didn't know about. The opponent maybe even played that land first, so it made it less likely that they had it. Good on them. So this can name... This blocks the thing that's pro blue-red, which is good. I could just Hail Mary the Bloodbraid again. I think I'm leaning towards playing the Plague Engineer, because that also means I get to play the Dark Confidant, and that could be a way I actually start climbing back into this. I'm not super concerned about the lifelink. I think I'm probably just going to jump it for a turn. I want my life to stay high, so that way Bob can continue to be good. So this will name... I guess Spirit, right? Like whatever Flicker Wisp is. It's funny, my phone actually went kaput. I need to go get a new phone. So I have to Google it. Flicker Wisp. Pretty sure it's Elemental. Yeah, it's Elemental. I could name Germ just so they gain less life, but like I mentioned, I'm really not worried about them gaining life. And I'm for sure intending on blocking this with the Engineer, because remember, Engineer does have Death Touch. Whee! That pretty much kills us. That was a sick rip. They get to activate Castle too. So now I have to block the Skyclave with the Bob. Or else the sword would just connect and kill Bob anyway. So we're gonna need to have a pretty sick rip with this Bloodbraid. I think Kolaghan's Command is just about the only thing we're hoping for. Yep. Alright. Time to knock the top. Kolaghan's Command? Liliana. That kills a thing. But they can still just equip the Batterskull to the Skyclave and smack me for 9. Or sorry, for 8, and then shoot me for the last 2. So if they see it, we are just dead. And then we can't block, so... Yep, so they just got to equip, and we're dead. They didn't see it. Alright, well then I guess we've got a window to find Kolaghan's Command again. So I guess they're thinking, hit me, shoot Liliana? I mean, they're giving us a chance. We're still needing exactly Kolaghan's Command here. Like we need to kill a sword and get Goyf back and deploy a Goyf. So I mean, Kolaghan's Command and we're live. Well, I guess that's the next best thing. It still has to be Kolaghan's Command. We need to deal with these artifacts. Bone Crusher. Funny enough, Pro Blue and Red is our entire deck. So now we do just die. They just have to attack. Bummer. Alright, game 3. I don't think I'm making any changes. Yeah, I think I'm just going to resubmit. Is there any consideration to actually playing Ashiok? Because, I mean, they play Stoneforges as well. But, I mean, it literally stops only Stoneforge, right? Like, they don't even have fetch lands. I feel like this is just not going to be good enough. Let's submit. Let's go first. Yes, please. Oi. I think I'm keeping off the strength of Liliana on the play. If they have a one mana play, like if they've got a Giver of Runes, it gets weaker. But if they just go like Stoneforge on turn 2, I'll already have a Goyf in play, and then my Liliana can Edict, and I can start beating. I need to not draw lands, but this is like low end of keepable. Mulliganing in this matchup also just sucks, right? Uh-oh. Not a land, please. Ugh. Disgusting. I guess I'm just going to play the Goyf. I know playing Blackleave means that we don't have a power to block with, but if I'm fetch shocking, like, I'm just taking more damage. They do have it. Oh no, this was the exact curve out we were worried about. They get Batterskull. Yep. So now if I find a spot removal spell, like, I'm kind of forced to kill the Giver. Because they just protect it. Disgusting. So, I mean, I can still Liliana. They're pretty much going to be forced to sacrifice the Giver so that way they can put the Batterskull in. So I think I'm still going to Liliana here. I've got the Goyf to defend it, so as long as they don't have a removal spell, we can maybe charge the Liliana back up to Edict again. Push was a good draw. Is there any consideration to plus here? I don't think so. A plus would mean that if they've got removal, Liliana still gets to live. But like one way or another, this giver is gonna have to die. And if they just play another creature here, they no longer have to sacrifice the giver, and then push has to hit the giver. So I think Edict here is still the better option. Pro green, right? All right. So now the absolute worst case is they have land plus the thing that gets it, the ice thing. That's pretty bad too. Ugh. Kill Liliana. All right, we need a good one. Need a good one. That one's fine. It doesn't actually kill anything. I think I need to kill this with the push. Because like this is getting cast at some point anyway. And we need to make sure they can't flicker this. So I need to revolt, right? So red, green. Buy back a Verdant. Play a Verdant. This will get Overgrown Tomb. Say no. I get a 2/2. That was an okay one, but they're still fully loaded. Oh god. Alright, so they're gonna Ghost Quarter us now. I guess they have to choose between put it in Batterskull. Yikes. I guess we're gonna cycle Peatland. Golagon's command? Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Not ideal. I mean, if we're gonna lose, I guess this is how it happens. And then here comes Batterskull. No? Okay. Yeah, brutal indeed. Sure. I mean, I'm already only able to play one spell off the top, unless it's Bloodbraid. Of course, here's Bloodbraid, right? Brutality. I guess I'm still wanting to sacrifice Peatland first. Because if I find a Kolagon's command, I need to get rid of this Batterskull. I can Brutality to kill the Leon and Arbiter and some other modes. Yeah, I think they are afraid of K command. I think I'm still drawing towards the K command. I could also use this Brutality in conjunction with Ren and 6 to kill the Archon. But either way, I think the turn just leads on... Oh, I'm an idiot. Well, I guess we're Brutalitying now no matter what. And I guess killing Archon, because that pressures the Ren. So I guess we're just going to 3-mode it, to be honest. These lands aren't doing anything otherwise. So you... I didn't use the Ren and 6 yet, right? Okay, yeah. So we'll 3-mode it. You... And then our fetching is kind of turned off, so let's just discard some fetches. We've got the on thin ice too. Brutal. So they can kill the Ren and 6 now by putting in Batterskull on thin icing Illusion. I mean, we're still in it. We could still just find the Kolaghan's Command. Their hand isn't that good. They're letting our Wrenn and 6 live. Like Yorion to hand, I guess. They drew a Skyclave. Disgusting. Oof. They've been drawn pretty hot. We've been drawn pretty not. Kolaghan's Command? Bolt? Bob? Not the stage that we want the Bob in. I mean, we could still Bob and hold the Bolt. We could maybe, like, surprise get a 2/2. Bob would have been good earlier. Not gonna shock. If they want to Ghost Quarter my Blackleaf Cliffs, I'll Bolt in response. Yeah, like, they can always just like bounce the Batter Skull in response to Kolaghan's Command. We needed to draw not as poorly as we did, unfortunately. What's up, KO? We're getting outdrawn like it's no one's business, unfortunately. So, I mean, I guess I'm gonna Bolt the Skyclave. That'll get us a 2/2, and that'll trade for the Arbiter. I'd rather keep the Bob alive, or at least make them use their on thin ice. Shocker Nation, thank you for the follow. I appreciate the support. If you want to Ghost Quarter me, I guess now's the time. Sure. Then they should probably just on thin ice here. Bloodbraid? Yikes. Bloodbraid? Oh yeah. I would be lying if I said I was having a good time. They didn't even put Yorion to hand. I guess still afraid of Kolaghan's Command. Bob won you a lot of games. Yeah, Bob has looked really, really good in the 2 matches I've played so far today. But unfortunately, the rest of the deck has been apparently only lands. I mean, we kept a land-heavy hand this game in hopes of getting lucky, but I think out of our 5... Out of the 7 draw steps that we've had, plus 3 extra draws off of Peatland, I think like 8 of them have been land. We just like can't get rid of them fast enough. Bloodbraid. Alright, deck. You got me this time. Brutal. 0-2 start, not what I like. I mean, that matchup I think is actually very good, but not this time. Yeah, pretty vomit-inducing, yeah. Brutal, brutal, brutal. It'd be like that sometimes, though, right? We can still get the Jund Trophy. We're still alive for a 3-2. How about this hand? Versus Luris? They're on the play. If this is prowess, we don't actually have a good answer for a 1-mana creature. They don't have it, though. That's huge. Stomp. Okay, that's excellent. Bonecrusher was kind of the perfect draw there, because we only had 1 threat, so like if something happened to it, we were kind of boned. But now we have the interaction that we were looking for and a backup threat, so pretty excellent draw. Oh, it's just like straight up burn. Jeez. Alright, well, I guess I'm taking Eidolon. Borostrom does more damage, but I mean, not even true, right? Because Eidolon I don't actually have an answer for. Oh, not true. I have Bone Crusher. So, I think I'm actually still wanting to take the Eidolon. Reason being is that lets me play a really big Goyf next turn, and I need to start attacking to win this matchup, right? Like, if I'm not attacking, they're just getting infinite more time to like, just draw burn spells that go to the dome. So, like, while I could take the Borostrom here and then plan on stomping the Eidolon, I really think, like, Stomp is just going to be good for whatever creature they play next, and then I also just get to play a huge Tarmogoyf, because adding enchantment and creature is pretty large. So yeah, let's take Eidolon. Say go. Pretty happy I had Inquisition as opposed to a Thoughtseize. Alright, so now I'm going to get Basic Forest and play Tarmogoyf. Forest. Tarmogoyf. Clock assembled. The odds of ending 3-2 is greater than 99%. Math checks out. Searing Blaze. Alright, well that doesn't kill a Goyf unless they've got another Bolt. And if they're bolting Goyf, I'm almost kind of happy given that I've got backup threat. Well, I'm not playing that one. So I don't actually have a way to interact with creatures if I just play this Bone Crusher. But Bone Crusher attacks for 4 a turn. And also stops whatever... It also just stonewalls whatever creatures I'd be worried about anyway. So I think I like playing the Bone Crusher here. And I'm going to avoid paying 2 life by paying 1. And I'm going to probably just not tap this Peatland ever again. I guess please no Searing Blaze. I mean, Searing Blaze, they go to 10. Jeez, they drew it. So this puts us to 5. They've got a Skewer. We're at 2. Alright, so we've still just got a 5/6. Inquisition's fine. I mean, if their last card is a spell, then we get to take it. And then they, again, just have to knock the top of their library. I guess I could sacrifice the Peatland first. But there's nothing that I could draw that costs 1 that I would want to cast more. I guess it's only... If I draw, like, a Bolt or a Push, I could be insulated versus a creature with haste. But it's only Guide. Only Goblin Guide would bite me there. I think I'm Inquisitioning almost no matter what. So let's do it. And it's an Eidolon. Okay. Still 5/6. I could go to 1 to play the Bob. That seems pretty nonsensical. Alright, let's, I guess, knock the top of our opponent's library. Alright, no burn off the top, please. No burn or Goblin Guide. Damn. You got me. Alright. Would have been nice to steal game 1 without having access to Brutality, but now we have access to Brutality. For sure cutting Bob. For sure cutting Thoughtseize. This has me needing to bring in 2. I guess I'll bring in the redraws over anything else. They are playing Luris, so it's not ridiculous to play Spell Bomb. I mean, it's better than all this stuff for sure. So let's do that. Let's go first. Can I get a Brutality, please? Yes, we can. This hand's excellent. Wow. Alright, so I'll Verdant first. And then that'll get Stomping Grounds. We've already got double black. We want to get first green. And if we end up wanting to double spell with red... Alright, so I'm going to fetch first, because this means that the only way I draw a land is if there are 2 lands stacked on top. Inquisition on top. Well, I would have liked to have had that last turn, but Brutality is still going to be good. Is it actually possible that I want to just use a Stomp here? So, I don't think I want to discard my land. I don't think I want to discard Inquisition because the next turn I get the double spell, but also casting Liliana is just going to be good. It's not super trivial what I'm doing here. No, I really don't want to discard any of these cards. The issue with waiting is I could get Skullcracked and not gain life. I think I'm going to Stomp, with the tiebreaker being that next turn I'll have the option of just deploying a threat. And I will do it now as to not get got by a Boros Charm. More Bone Crushers. Okay. So I've got pretty much the same decision as I did last time. But I think I'm just going to play Bone Crusher. I could Liliana start going at their hand, but I'm going to want a lot of cards to pitch to my Brutality. So I think I'm going to deploy a threat here and try to start clocking them back. And I can always Inquisition first to get the scope on whether or not they've got a Skullcrack effect. There's a Rift Bolt. Oh, that's not a Rift Bolt. That's not a Rift Bolt. So many windows. Bloodbraid. Alright, this is looking like the Brutality turn. Another consideration is there's some value to have Liliana in play, because if they draw Eidolon, I can Edict it without losing life. But I think it's going to be absolute safest gaining my life now and just kind of shredding their hand. Wow. That's a lot of burn. So, geez, if they draw a land, I'm just dead. Because they have Riftbolt on Suspend. So I can go up to 12 here, but if they draw a land, they just go Bolt, Bolt, Skewer. That's 12. Pretty nutty. So for that reason, do I have to take one of the 1-mana things and leave them with the Boros Charm? I mean, like, everything already doing 3 apiece is already enough. Brutality is taking one of these things, though. So I guess that means I'm taking Boros Charm and something. So I mean, I guess the best thing is this Lightning Bolt. So then we'll do this. We'll 2-mode it. This and this. Cast. You. Bloodbraid's got haste. So I may need it to steal a race. But I mean, Bone Crusher also just stomps to face, so that's one less. Let's ditch the Liliana. So now we'll take Boros Charm and attack for 4. So their hand is Skewer, Bolt. We're effectively at 3 here already. Pretty nutty. They should Skewer me at least, right? If they put a Skewer on a Bone Crusher, I'm pretty happy about that. But I doubt they will when I'm at an effective 3 with just what we know about. We need to find another Brutality. I think that's our realistic out to stabilizing. I mean, we could still just get lucky and they just not draw another burn spell over 2.5 turns. That would be the ideal scenario. They just didn't draw any of the creatures. And, like, the creatures are the burn spells that I could actually deal with. Alright, well, I'm not going to not attack. And I guess I'm playing a Bone Crusher. I mean, if they just end step me with a 2 damage spell, I'm dead. Did they really draw it? Yeah, we're just dead. We go to 6, and they've got 3 and 3. Well, can't beat the nuts. We had the brutality. We had all the interaction we needed. They just had Eldrazi anyway. Here's the deck. It's felt very good. We've just been getting outdrawn. Yeah, burn doing burn things. Not a good record. So for those who weren't here from the beginning, round 1, we lost a very close game, a very close match to Eldrazi Tron. We had a window to win, and we just drew a land. And then match 2, we took to game 3 and then absolutely flooded. And then now we played against the nuts. So I mean, we've had pretty good fight in every match so far. We've just been getting a little unlucky, I think. Yeah, they drew actual 0 creatures, which was what our hand lined up well against. Like, they just drew everything that went straight to the dome. And, like, we had them discard 2 of their things, and we gained 2 life. And we clocked them from the beginning. And we just still couldn't get there. They had Eldrazi. And we had them dead, too, on our next turn, because they were at 10. We attacked for 8 and then stomp them. So we only needed to fade 1 draw step there. Keeper. So maybe I want to fetch basic Swamp here just to conserve life. We don't know if the opponent's an aggro deck yet. They have mulligan to 4 though. So I guess it's Dredge or Tron most likely. Versus Dredge or Tron, my life total doesn't matter a lot. The downside of getting basic Swamp on one is that if I draw Wrenn and 6, I can't play it. I think I'm still going to do it, though. Alright. Dredge or Tron, which is it? Neither. Okay. So it's not that Transmogrify deck, right? Because they're not playing a lot of mountains yet. I guess this gets the Empyrean. I'm not doing anything else, so I guess I'll do this now. I do intend on casting Liliana on turn 3, so I don't think holding the Thoughtseize is particularly strong. Yeah, it could be Blue Moon. We've got the Swamp if that is the case, but we'll need to find a way to get our Forest. Which maybe means I should have played Overgrown Tomb first, right? Because I can't play Liliana on 3 while fetching basic Forest on this turn. Glyph's a good one, but I still think I should get Liliana down. Hope they haven't drawn a counter as the one card I don't know of. Cool. Alright, well, easy sailing after hard sailing. We're playing against blue-red. Assuming they're playing Platinum Empyrean, Pillage is going to be good. I like the brutalities as well. Spellbomb might be good. I mean, it's pretty free if it's bad. The pushes look like they will be bad. And I don't think they're the Transmogrify deck because they were playing a lot of non-mountain lands. Because they need mountains to turn on the Dwarven Mine, right? Don't know that Ashiok is going to be good. So let's cut... It's not even clear, right? Like they're a control deck, so I'm keeping the Blood Braids, I'm keeping the Bone Crushers, I'm keeping. I guess on the draw, it's safe to cut some Lilianas. I do have answers to the Platinum Empyrean. I've got double Kolagon's Command, 2 more Lilianas, and a Pillage. So cutting 2 is probably fine, but it's pretty good against them. Blue-red. Like, it's bad versus Snapcaster and Cryptic, but against everything else, Liliana seems like it's going to be strong. Keeping 2 is probably fine. I guess I've also got double Terminate as answers to the Empyrean, which I hadn't considered. On the draw versus the Bolt deck, I'll shave a Bob. Bob's still going to be very good if it goes unanswered, but it's going to be pretty tempo negative if I play a Bob and then they bolt it and do something else. So let's do this. And then if it's free to play around the Blood Moon, I'll play around the Blood Moon. With this hand, it is not free. In fact, this is probably just a mulligan. If we get Spike a land, Red Insects will be very good. But also counter spells break it up. So let's ship. Yeah, okay, we'll keep. I think I'm gonna bottom the Mire. Is that crazy? If we end up flooding, Forgotten Cave cycles. I need double red, though, for the Pillage. Yeah, I'm going to bottom the Mire. If we determine that we need to get basic Forest, this will do it. A bolt. Don't foresee needing to bolt anything on this first turn. I'll play the Verdant, and I might just not sacrifice it. I do need a red source, though. I would like to not play the Forgotten Cave. I don't want to play the Goyf on this turn either, because it's in bolt range this turn, so let's just untap. Tomb's a nice one. I still don't think I'm bolting anything here. Don't really see a reason to hold up Terminate quite yet. No land. Okay, well, Bolt still gets the Tarmogoyf, so I still think I'm not playing it. And now I think I will just play the Forgotten Cave as a red source. We've got a lot of red spells. And I would still like to have the option to get a basic forest with this if they try to moon us. So now I'll just play the cave. Also, playing anything here could play into a remand, which might help them find their lands. No real need to just play into it when literally anything breaks it up. They went top with that. We know they are missing lands, so like I could try to be cute and pillage a land. We do have Terminate for the Platinum Empyrean, but I think I'm going to want to back up answer, assuming the first one doesn't work. Alright, we've just drawn the forest. Alright, so now this can get a red source. I could just play Bone Crusher as a 4/3. Bolt is always going to hit Bone Crusher, so maybe that's reasonable. Yeah, let's do it. If they want to tap out to make a Platinum Empyrean, I can just kill it. Of note, though, I'll only have 2 red sources in play, so if they've got a Force of Negation, I can't try twice on one turn. Alright, so we've got to assume that's what they scried at the top. They scried to the top again. Is there any reason to want to get my other basic swamp here in the case of Moon? I guess if this is Moon, we'll just know. Then we will just get basic swamp because everything is a mountain. It is Moon. Funny enough, this Moon's actually good for us. Like, it's actively good for us. We've got all of our colors, and now we've got all the red sources we could need. So that's kind of hilarious. We drew Thoughtseize too. Wow, wow, wow. So now Gwaif will be out of Bolt's range. They've got... What is Shape Anew? The controller of target artifact sacrifices it, then reveals the cards from top of the library until they reveal an artifact card. So it's basically just another... It's just another copy of the red thing. Carador, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So what am I doing after this? I'm almost definitely just deploying a Tarmogoyf, right? They've got double Shape Anew. They don't actually have an artifact, but Prismari Command provides an artifact. The thing is, they've got double command, double shape, so it's like no matter what I take, they're still going to have access to it. So I guess the consideration becomes, if I answer the first copy, what makes it the hardest for them to go off again? I think it's taking Prismari Command. Because Prismari Command does the most on top of everything. I mean, Snapcaster is annoying too, but I think I'm just going to hedge towards Command. And then now we get to go Forest, Goyf, hold up, terminate, attack for 4. You mean to pillage their island? That'd be funny too. Didn't even think about that. Maybe we do it coming up. That'd be hilarious. I think adding pressure though is also quite good. Oh, they drew Madcap. I mean, we've got the answer. So their hand is... I hate how it works, like, on Magic Online. I gotta, like, make sure I don't mess up. Alright, so it's... This is their hand, right? Alright, so they've got the whatchamacallit. Not gonna bolt the Men's Step because it doesn't do anything. Alright, well, I guess we have infinite answers to their stuff. Had I drawn any land, we could have terminated and pillaged, which would have been really, really funny. As is, I think I should just terminate. Continue to hold up other copy of terminate. And just smack for a lot. You're here for the fairest of all magic? Well, that's what you'll find here. It's pretty rare that a Blood Moon is actually good for us. We know you can't respond. Are you taking a bathroom break or what? Let's slam a jam. So now even if they can execute combo again, we just have another terminate. Snapcaster can try to block to buy time, but we can just bolt it out of the way. Yay! Alright. Here is the Decaroo. Guess I could take this moment to thank everybody for stopping by today. Got a pretty decent crowd. Always good to see people supporting fair Magic as opposed to the combo stuff and the Tron stuff. Playing against Lurrus again. Well, we're going first. Let's keep. We can stomp the first thing, Liliana the second thing, hopefully. I guess I can lead on Ravine. Not having a one-mana play versus Lurrus is unfortunate. But Bone Crusher Giant gonna do a fine impression. Bobble. So maybe not Prowess then. Maybe a Shadow variant. No Thoughtseize though. So I could just play Tarmogoyf. It would get bolted. And if they're playing Shadow, they're almost definitely playing red, right? I guess let's just see what we draw before we hem and haw over it. So one targeting me, one targeting them. You smell Jund Shadow? Yeah, it's smelling like Jund Shadow. And now since they've sacrificed the baubles, I was gonna say like we could fetch and Goyf no longer gets bolted, but we actually don't have a fetch. But if they use their fetch, then yeah, then it survives. So let's play the Goyf. Goyf is dying to Fatal Push at any stage of the game, so I see no reason to wait other than try to find a discard spell to pair it with. But yeah, now it can't get bolted because they would add a land and an instant. So far so good. If they kill it, we can buy it back, but I think I'm going to put a higher priority on getting Liliana into play. So far, so good. Jund. It is Jund. Oh man, they had a way to not fetch. Boo. Swift Spear. So that makes things interesting. Now that we know they're playing Swift Spear, Liliana looks a lot worse, because if they just have another one, our Liliana can get shot down. I could go for a Stomp on the Swift Spear, but if they've got Mutagenic Growth, it kind of bites us in the butt. The alternate line is I instead go for Kolagon's Command, which I kind of like, because then we can also get back our Tarmogoyf. So, I mean, it's bad versus exactly Mutagenic Growth, but Liliana's going to be good for killing the larger stuff like Shadow anyway. So I think I like taking the gamble here. And then we'll do it now. So we'll return Goyf, try to shock a Swift Spear. And then hope they don't have Mutagenic Growth. Sick. And of course having to do it now, because if they had any spell on their turn, the Prowess trigger gets it out of range. So I like doing it now if I'm going to do it, which I did. I really think I'm going to have to prioritize killing something bigger with the Liliana. And they did have another Swift Spear, so getting rewarded. Now it's slightly more problematic though, because if they just hold up another spell here, Stomp is less likely to take care of the Swift Spear. I guess not if they just play another thing, though. Okay. Can we draw 1 mana removal, please? Never lucky. Alright, so I could just Liliana, but again, they just sacrifice the Swift Spear, which is why I wanted 1 mana removal, because then I could empty their board. But as it sits, it's looking like I want to stomp the Swift Spear. They didn't have Mutagenic Growth last turn, so I'm assuming they don't now. And then I can also just deploy a Tarmogoyf. So, stomp this, red, something, Tarmogoyf, mean, if they deploy multiple threats, that's a way we easily start falling behind. We've dealt with 3 of them already. The ideal scenario is they don't play another creature. That's a good sign. I mean, if they also just draw a discard spell to get rid of our Liliana, that would be bad. But I mean, sacking Peatland now means, I guess they don't have a Scourge of the Skyclaves. They also just might not play the Scourge out of fear that we would have another Bolt or Shock effect. Because we are at 18, it'd only be a 2/2. We have a Forgotten Cave that we can cycle. We also have a Bone Crusher Giant that we can just play. Ooh. I wonder if we could run the Gambit attack. If they block, we can ping theirs with the Wrenn and 6. And then we also have Forgotten Cave to start looping it. So that was a pretty good draw, assuming this attack works. The potential way this backfires is if this is the line that makes their shadows become enabled. I mean, they could have already just made a 4/4 shadow, though, so maybe they just don't have a shadow. They know our entire hand. The only way that a block bites them is if we have exactly Wrenn and 6. And again, I'm fairly confident they don't have mutagenic growth the way they've been playing. Nice. So now I could just cycle the Forgotten Cave, but I can't buy it back now, so let's just shock and get our Bone Crusher in. It's going alright. And remember, the read is that they have no more threats. They could obviously just draw them. They sacrificed to Peatland next turn, so they could have drawn like a 2-mana thing they wouldn't have played yet. But the read is like no Swift Spear, no Shadow, no Scourge. No Fatal Pushes either. Alright, so they must have recently found this. And a Bob. Alright, well we can just kill that with Wrenn and 6. Oh wow, are they just dead? We can push this, kill this. We don't have an untapped land. Had we been able to activate the Ravine on top of it, they were dead. This is 6. This is 10. We're 1 off. I mean, I guess I'm still just going to do the thing. I guess I do this now because I could find something to cast. Well, not that. Put you to 1. They're dead to the onboard Wrenn and 6. Got new interesting ideas for done? Nothing new yet. I am going to be brewing pretty soon with some of the newer cards. I don't know that I'm not for sure that any of them are great yet. I think the thing with the highest promise, the thing that I'm most confident will be playable is the that sideboard dragon that hits lands. I think that card might be pretty great. Alright, so we're playing against Jun's Shadow. We want the Fatal Push, we want the Spell Bombs. And that's kind of the only... Those are kind of the only 3 that I'm excited about. Don't think I want Wildfire. We can maybe try to clear interactive spells with just bringing in more discard effects, but I'm already wanting to take out a good chunk of my discard. Don't think we need to worry about artifacts. Plague Engineer will just trade with about anything, assuming they don't just bolt it out of the way. So I mean, if this is better than something else, I'll probably bring it in. Ashiok might be interesting, but on the draw it's a bit slower. We could neuter the Luris plan by targeting them. And a lot of their mana is fetch based, so we could maybe turn that off as well. But on the draw it's pretty slow, so I'm kind of leaning off of it. Let's for sure cut Thoughtseizes. I mean, that's a clean 3 for 3. So is Plague Engineer better than anything? I can't say with any certainty that it is. Like, it does have Death Touch, But that's about the only thing it's got going for it. I guess if the opponent like boards in Seasoned Pyromancer, we could name Elemental. We did see Dark Confidant, so we could name Human. Don't know what it's better than. Maybe On the Draw versus the Infinite Removal deck I could cut a bob. On the play, though, I think I'm definitely wanting to bring it back in. I think First Engineering might be better than Third Bob while on the draw. Let's give it a go. They spoiled the new Black Goyf. Yeah, I think we discussed it a little bit earlier, but it was pretty expensive, mana wise. Yeah, that sounds fine. Swifty Spear. So our decision on turn 1 is whether we want to Inquisition or Lightning Bolt. I think I'm still wanting to Inquisition. I don't have many good answers to things like Death Shadow. So they know about our Kroxa. So I think I'm going to use a Verdant to fetch shock a Blood Crypt. And then between Inquisition and Bolt, I think I'm wanting to Inquisition. Like, if they've got a Goyf, I don't actually have a good answer for it. So I may need to take a Goyf. Also, they could have Veil of Summer up starting as early as next turn. And I don't want to get Veiled. So we'll Blood Crypt. I'm getting the Blood Crypt here because next turn I can Bolt without having to do more damage to myself. So they've got Scourge, Shadow, Bolt. So they can fetch shock and just play a Scourge. I think I have to take that. Because Scourge is already going to be a 5/5. Shadow will be a little slower. So the only problem is if the pre-order, the Ignoble Hierarchs don't really want to spend too much money later in the case. How much are they pre-ordering for now? I haven't checked. So what they might do here is fetch shock, Lightning Bolt themselves, and then just play a Shadow, but then I get to Bolt the Shadow, right? So I don't think they'd want to do that. Also, they know about my Bob, and they may be wanting to save the Bolt for that. Would love to draw Fatal Push or Liliana. Something that deals with the Shadow / Scourge threats. I guess even Goyf as well. There are 3 things that we don't want to see threat-wise. It's about 30 euros. I feel like it'll probably not be that much. I mean, it depends on how much they print the set. And it doesn't help the price that... there are a bunch of different promo printings of it, right? Like, the promo printings help the regular prices go down. Alright, so I think I'm going for the Bolt on the Swift Spear. Just lead on that. If they have a Mutagenic Growth or something here, I have the option of Fetch Shocking Bolting again. It's not ideal. Alright, now I think I'm just going to get the Ravine down. Yeah, seems like one of the better chances I'll have to do it. They found the Goyf. We found the Liliana. I think I'm just going to get basic Swampier to conserve my life. Liliana had to have been the nut draw, right? Like, it'll still get tagged by anything hasty, or even just the Lightning Bolt in the opponent's hand. But finding an answer to this Goyf was great, and even better that it's an answer that will also draw some other resources. The sketch is about 70, the old border is already 100. I think people may be overhyping that card. I think it's going to be good. I don't think it's going to be good in Jund. So when I say people might be overhyping it, I'm referring to specifically in Jund. It might just be great in other places. But in Jund, I think it's very overhyped. Bloodbraid is a nice one. Not great at the moment. So we know about a Shadow. I could play the Bob now. The issue is, like, we're lower than the opponent, so them detrimenting their own life total means that Scourge grows up to as big as an 8/8, which can put us to 4. I mean, we have a Bolt to maybe make their Shadow awkward. We need to prioritize killing the Scourge. If I play the Bob and just take the hit, though, I'm going down to 4, and that's pretty precarious. I think what I want to do is play Spellbomb, sacrifice Spellbomb. If I play Spellbomb, sacrifice Spellbomb, I'm drawing to Fatal Push. The alternate line is I just cast Croaks to hold up Bolt, but holding a Bolt doesn't even do anything. I think I'm drawing to Fatal Push. And if I find a tap land here, I think I'm going to want to do this now so I can play the tap land to have the option to Bloodbraid next turn. Push? No. Do I want to shock to either Dark Confidant or Croxa? If I play Croxa now, I can escape it next turn. Detrimenting my own life doesn't actually grow the Scourge, and it doesn't make me survive anymore versus something like a Battle Rage. So I do think I should play something that costs 2 here. I just don't know which. If I take the hit, Bob looks pretty precarious, though. So I think what I'm going to do is cast the Croxa. And then try to draw a way to deal with the Scourge next turn. And if I don't, maybe I have to Hail Mary it off of a Bloodbraid. Alright, we ate a Shadow, so their other card is better than Shadow. Yeah, I mean, I think it might have a place in Jund, but I don't think it's a slam dunk by any means. Alright, so we're taking 5. Yep. Pretty healthy chunk. They didn't do anything? They didn't even put Lurrus into their hand? Interesting. Not quite what we're looking for. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to Hail Mary it. I kind of have to, right? If they've got a removal spell to get Bloodbraid out of the way, that'll kind of suck. I could cast the Croxa. I think the issue there, though, is then we are susceptible to a Fatal Push. Fatal Push doesn't kill Bloodbraid without Revolt. So, what you got for me, Dick? I guess Liliana would be best case. Push would be second best case. We drew a Bolt. I can fetch for basic mounted and bolt it again. If they bolt themselves, they'll grow the Scourge, but I mean, there's not much I can do about that. So we're gonna we're using 2 resources to kill the Scourge, but we're also up a resource. So this is kind of just a 2 for 2. And now if this is dead, maybe we can stabilize with our Croxa. They're paying costs. Oh no. Is it Kolaghan's Command Shock yourself? Oh god, Tendepests. That makes 5 things, right? I can only block 1? I'm just dead. This is the second time Tendepests has gotten me. Yeah, they just got to attack all of our dead. GG. Okay, am I changing anything now that I'm on the play? It's kind of funny. Plague Engineer is good versus the pests. I mean, it's also good versus the Bob that we saw. They might have taken the Bob out. So is Engineer good? I think it might be. I mean, it trades with anything, again, assuming they don't just kill it. But it's also an out to 10 the pests. I mentioned on the play I'm wanting to bring the Dark Confidant back in, so let's do that. So now we need 2 cuts, actually. Versus the Swift Spear versions, I think Bolt is probably fine enough. On the play, I'm for sure keeping the Lilianas. I'm keeping the Blood Braids. Keeping the Terminate. There's just not a lot that I actually want to cut. I could see cutting a Ren in 6. It doesn't really kill anything. But it is going to be fine, assuming I get it going with the land. You need a lot to go right for Ren in 6 to be good. The opponent is trying to go pretty quickly. I think I might cut a Bone Crusher, as crazy as it may sound. I like all the low to the ground stuff. Yeah, I cut 1 Ren in 6. Let's go first. Please have a keeper. Please have a keeper. Hell yeah. Our mana base is going to be on the painful side. I think I'm going to lead on Overgrown Tomb, because that means if we draw Blackleaf Cliffs, we've maximized how good the Blackleaf Cliffs can be. Because we can Blackleaf Cliffs to cast Tarmogoyf if we don't have to like fetch Shock again. I would like to avoid fetching for basic Forest though, because Forest is really bad for Kroxa. So since I'm pretty committed to not getting basic Forest, I'll use the Tomb here. Or sorry, use the Verdant for a Tomb. Say yes. Oop, clicked the wrong thing. What you got? They have the Veil. They also have Bobble, Swift Spear, Battle Rage, Thoughtseize. So both Thoughtseize and Veil make my Liliana kind of awkward. I'm still kind of thinking I want to take this Thoughtseize, though. They only have 1 threat. Kolaghan's Command can kill it, but Veil can disrupt that. So I think it's between Thoughtseize or Veil. I mean, all of my cards... The issue is, like, all the cards that Veil is stopping right now are pretty expensive for me. So they're going to get a pretty significant tempo advantage if the Veil ends up working out. And it's also just, like, the 2-for-1. So I could just let them 1-for-1 me and then plan to play off the top. I think that's the line. Like, if they Thoughtseize me here, I don't even know what they take. Like, our hands is good. Would be interested to know what y'all are taking here with that Inquisition. I think it's a close decision. The only things that I'm sure that it's not are Bobble and Battle Rage. I think there's a real good argument for their 1 threat or the Veil or the Thoughtseize. You would have taken Veil in a heartbeat? Alright, well, that's one person who agrees. There's the Mire. So many windows. There's the Swift Spear. There's the Bobble. And I would enjoy not having to fetch Shock to play a Goyf here, but I'll do it if I have to. You would have also taken Veil? Ooh, Basic Mountain is nice. So now I guess I could just Mountain play Tarmogoyf. Let's do that. And now I guess next turn we can get basic Swamp to Liliana, and then hopefully, now that we've taken the Veil, we don't just get absolutely dumpstered by it. +1. Alright, so we're four people, including myself, agree. 5 people agree. Alright, well, I'm feeling a little bit more confident given that the other Jund's minds are saying Veil as well. I was really on the edge. I was like 51% towards Veil, 49% Thoughtseize. So we've got 2 answers to the Swift Spear now. Taking Veil makes Goyf bigger, assuming they don't Thoughtseize on turn 1 and grab Goyf, which seems unlikely. Also a good point. I think they're taking Liliana here. If they don't take Liliana, that might tell us something about their hand. Maybe they've got another haste creature, or they've found a burn spell. So maybe now we think that they don't have another haste creature or burn spell. So Glyph's kind of hefty. So if they've got a Fatal Push, it's pretty bad for us. This is almost definitely getting basic Swamp. I think I'm going to attack first. Because if they've got a Fatal Push, I can then respond to the Prowess trigger. But if I do this now and they just cast Push in response, we get really blown out. This could be enabling Death Shadows, but I also don't want to just give them more time for free. Alright, they didn't have it. So do I want to just use this Kolaghan's command now? I'm almost for sure using this Kolaghan's command now, because next turn I've got Bloodbraid rolled up. So the question just becomes, what is the second mode? Like, I guess it's you discard a card. I don't have a creature to get back. Yeah, it has to be you discard a card. So if they've got a spell to save it, at least they're using it on my turn when it's not contributing to a stronger attack. And then, like, no matter what, assuming they haven't drawn another Veil, and which I guess they haven't. Assuming they don't have another Veil, they're still gonna have to discard a card. And they did have Fatal Push. Alright, so an attack first looked good. So their Swift Spear gets saved, they still have to discard a card. They discarded a Push. Alright, so their hand is Battle Rage and 1 unknown. I mean, if they have a Scourge or a Shadow, we could be in trouble. They didn't get a green source, so Goyf off the table unless they also have another land. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright, like, I think we're getting second Red Source in and then casting Bloodbraid. Really hoping we find a way to answer this. We know about Battle Rage. So if we tap out and don't hit it, they know that they can just kill us. But we don't have much a way to play around that. We could just do nothing. But then we still just take a hit and we're in the same position next turn, but they don't have to use the Battle Rage. I think this is Bloodbraid, cross fingers. Bloodbraid, cross fingers. It's got to be a spot removal spell, so it's got to be Terminate or Fatal Push. There are 6 successes. It's Goyf. Can Goyf just get in front enough? I think it does, right? It's a 6/7. If they Battle Rage it, we would actually trade. If they have a fetch, then it doesn't matter, right? Because they just go to 4, and then it does 18. We can absorb 7. That's still 11. We'd have to double block. So yeah, any fetch makes it pretty hairy for us. I guess a removal spell and we're just dead. So yeah, there's a lot that does it here. I mean, if they do take that aggressive line though and take a lot of damage, they, I guess, have to be worried about like us just shooting them down with another Bloodbraid, but that seems unlikely. So, not liking the position. Alright, and they didn't have a fetch. If they bolt themselves... So, as is... So, as is, if they Battle Rage, we're trading. And then we're taking 5. So, if they bolt themselves... They can't bolt themselves and do it because they don't have the mana for it. If they were to just bolt themselves, I need to double block, right? Because they would go to 9. It would be a 9/9 and we'd still have 3 power in front of it. The downside of doing this is if they just cast a Battle Rage, they get to kill both of my things, right? I think I'm just going to do this, because I would love to keep a creature alive. But I mean, a double block plays around Bolt. No Bolt, please. Like, if they have the Bolt, we're still drawing live. But it just doesn't feel good. Okay. Trade, take a chunk. Alright, big draw step. Damn. So, if they've got a Bolt... They obviously don't have a Bolt. But, do we die to anything specific? If we attack for 3, I guess... One spell doesn't do it. Even if they draw the Bolt off the top, they would need 2 spells. So, I think we're attacking. Because, like, if we put them to 4, they have to think twice about attacking. Because then any burn spell plus another connection kills them. That was a really big miss, though. I don't believe Shadow plays Dart, so I'm not super concerned about Dart. Another Shadow is bad news. Spot removal? That's a redraw. Spot removal? Well, that puts us in a pretty similar situation. We still just die to another Battle Rage. I'm going to hold my last card as a bluff. Can't attack. Yeah, no darts out of Jund Shadow. So now it's 9/9. We're at 6 power. We can still double block to kill it. They would get to kill both of our things, though. We only have 9 toughness to their 9 power, which means they could attack all and get in with Swift Spear. Bobble. Yep. Well, that doesn't do anything immediately. Like, our hope right now is that their hand is just full of green spells they can't cast. I didn't yield till end of turn. Yeah, they're usually playing 2 Battle Rage. I know some people like taking Battle Rages out in the matchup, though, because it's susceptible to getting 2-for-1 if you like go for it and then get shot down by a removal spell. But cutting an instant win button is something not a lot of people like doing. So as far as I'm aware, the consensus is no one knows if you're supposed to leave them in and take it out. But they left in at least one. They didn't attack. Wow. All right, they know that we are drawing a Bloodbraid. Oh, that's probably why they didn't attack. Alright, let's slam it. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. Spell Bomb. Okay. It's not great. So if I Spell Bomb them, how many types are we losing? We have land, creature, instant, sorcery, planeswalker. But then we're going to add artifact again, so Goyf doesn't actually shrink. Let's play the swamp. use that to pop Spellbomb because that means that we could cast a Bolt if we find one. Damn. Hey. We don't have an attack. They would just go to 1 and then kill us. Bloodbraid was a great hit, but it kind of bricked. Yeah, these lands. And the opponent's like kind of short on lands too. They drew Seal of Fire. That can get a blocker out of the way. It only puts us to 4 though. Yeah, deck has not been friendly. I mean, drawing Bloodbraid was very lucky, but we did not hit something good off of it. Spellbomb was nice though. Like if Lurrus eventually enters the equation, then it'll be good. But if Lurrus is entering the equation, like I feel like we've lost by then anyway. Come on, deck. Come on, deck. Oh, come on. Come on. Go. This is what happened in match 2 against the mono white player. We were fighting pretty well and then we just absolutely flooded. Ugh, my god. Ugh, come on. Yeah, BBE spin the wheel is threatening. We've got one more in the deck. We're only playing 3. Thing is, we're giving the opponent so much more time. They have so many good draws. Like, we just have to hope that their hand is green stuff that they can't cast. You would play MTG, but it doesn't have cool animations like Hearthstone. Magic Arena has some pretty good animations. The issue with Magic Arena is that it doesn't have the older formats, which is I guess what they're trying to make historic. They're trying to make historic like that old non-rotating format. So I mean, if you're in it for the animations, then I would definitely recommend Arena if you're trying to get into Magic. But yeah, there aren't really any animations on old school Magic Online. Do I think Shardless will have an impact on Modern? I have no idea, to be honest. It might open up an avenue for another mid-range deck to be good. Maybe there's a house for Ancestral Vision now, but I mean, could not say. If they attack, it would mean they have TBR. Yeah, I mean, if they attack, we can't beat TBR as is, right? Like, this attacks for 18, we're at 6, so we have to absorb 13 of it to survive. We don't even have 13 toughness. You like the Ignoble as the best card in Jund? Yeah, I mean, it could be fantastic. I'm personally not convinced yet. My initial guess would be that it's fine, but not outstanding. They found the land. I guess this means they get to play green stuff if they want to be within range of most of our deck. Abrupt Decay, Tarmogoyf. Seal of Fire, that. Yep. So we have to block Death Shadow, take 2. Right? It's still coming to the top of the library. Block. Go to 4. Come on, deck. Alright, so for maximum excitement, let's count our outs. So we took out 1 Ren and 6 and 1 Bone Crusher. So we have 3 Bolts, 2 Ren and 6s, 2 Bone Crusher Giants, 1 Kolaghan's Command because we've used 1 Bloodbraid Elf. I think that's it. I guess Kroxa as well. That's 10. Alright, we're on a 10 outer. 10 outs, 40 cards, we're 25%. 25%. Ugh, that doesn't do it. That doesn't do it. We missed our 25%er. Never lucky. Ugh. Damn it. Like, we were so close so many different times. Like, our last 5 draws were Bloodbraid, Liliana, but everything else was a land, and our Bloodbraid hit a land. Brutal. I mean, this was a really fun league, except for that second match when we really flooded. I mean, we were in every single match. We just, I think, got outdrawn towards the end of basically every match that we were in. Yeah, like round 1 we lost to, I don't remember who we played against round 1, but round 2 was the Yorion Taxes pile. That matchup's got to be amazing, and we just like absolutely flooded. And then round 3 we beat that Transmogrify thing, or it wasn't even Transmogrify. They were just all in on the Platinum Empyrean plan. We beat that pretty easily. Oh, sorry, that was round 4. Round 3, we lost to a nutty draw from Burn. And then round 5, y'all were here to witness it. So, I mean, all in all, like, I feel like we did pretty well despite our pretty horrendous record. I mean, every card in the deck felt just good. I mean, I'm not certain that I would change anything. I still like the mix of 1-mana removal spells. I still think discard isn't at a premium at the moment, so I like having a couple less than what would be considered normal. And I still think Terminate is the removal spell I want to be playing for Eldrazi, Tron, and Stormwing entity reasons. We did play against... Oh, that's what it was. We lost to Eldrazi, Tron round 1. So I still think Terminate is probably the removal spell that I want. I don't think having a catch-all like Assassin's Trophy is good, because giving the opponent a land is so bad. And like if you know what you're going to be targeting 99+% of the time, and what you're targeting is a creature, I think Terminate probably just strictly better than something like Trophy. I mean, the Bone Crushers have still been really, really good. The Kolaghan's commands have been just fine. The Lilianas have been great. Bloodbraids have been great. Maybe I should try to squeeze 4th Bloodbraid back in, but I am concerned with having the curve be a little high, because I am playing 3 Bone Crushers already. I mean, if you want to consider Bone Crusher like a 2-drop, then I guess like having 4th Bloodbraid isn't super far fetched. But I mean, like, yeah, like I mentioned, all in all, this list has just felt fine. Maybe I could do some finagling with the sideboard, but I've brought in every card basically every league. I've brought in every card to good effect. So I mean, I think that the list is still pretty solid. I mean, I went on a 23-2 run with a list that was like 4 cards different than this. So I mean, I still think the list is pretty solid, and I'm not going to let 1 or 2 bad leagues detract from the potential that I think it has. So that's going to be it for this recording. I'm going to stick around online. I'm going to stick around streaming after I end the recording. So if you want some more Jund action, don't go anywhere. But as far as the YouTube recording is concerned, I'm going to end it there. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for stopping by, and until next time, Jund 'em out.